Hey guys, I am back with another romance arc review, and let me tell you, I have one question today, and that question is why? Why can't we communicate? What do we have against communication? Why is that one of the major problems in romance novels? Because it drives me up a wall, and we're going to talk about that. So again, this is an arc review, but this book is actually already out because of just the sheer number of arcs that I have right now and their due dates. This one technically, I believe, came out last week, but I reviewed the arc, so thank you to Edelweiss and the publisher for giving me this copy. I swear I got to this eventually. The book in question is called Mismatched by Wendy Millian. This is a second chance romance about a woman named Taylor, who, after getting her heart broken several years ago, I think it's about 6, by someone who she had been in a long-term relationship with, she thought that this guy, Simon, was going to propose, and then instead, on the day when it very clearly seemed that he was going to propose to her, he broke up with her instead, and she has been unable to find a new love interest since then. So she goes to this really amazing, incredibly reviewed dating service. Her best friend matched with someone on there and did really find her soulmate. She has to give up basically all of her savings to do this. It's a very expensive company, but she's like, I'm ready for love. She has spent the last several years focused on her business as a vet, and she is ready to move into a new period of her life with a new person. However, the dating service / soulmate service comes back with her data science driven match from the millions of people in their system. And it turns out that her match, her soulmate, is Simon. Taylor, of course, freaks out. She's already been down this road before, but the company will not give her back her money. They say, well, clearly you messed it up the first time. This guy is your soulmate and you have to do something about that. And she decides, no way, Jose. Walks away and just says, I meant to be alone forever. The problem is that this company automatically tells your match when someone is matched with them. So Simon gets an email, realizes that this is his perfect avenue for a second chance with Taylor, and says, you know, I'm going to take it, because he realizes that he made a huge mistake when they broke up. Simon has been doing a lot of work on himself. He realized that he's messed up. He's now working as an emergency room doctor, nurse, person. I forget his actual title. It's really not important to the story. That would be why. And he's like, this is my second chance and I'm going to take it. Taylor, of course, wants nothing to do with him. She does not want to go down this road again. But Simon says to her, you know, I'll help you get at least half of your money back, but you have to, you know, go out with me on a couple of dates in the next month, and then I'll help you get your money back. And Taylor wants to do a vet exchange. So there's someone in another country who wants to take over her veterinary practice while she goes to theirs and like do an exchange for a year. She needs this money to do that. So she agrees to Simon's terms and conditions. As you guys know, I love second chance romances. And so when I saw the idea for this one, I got really excited because, you know, this is someone who they were clearly very advanced in this relationship previously. It didn't work out, but now they're many years older and wiser, and they're being told, like, you know, this person is actually your soulmate and you need to make it work and kind of figure out. There's a great line in the book about finding the right person at the wrong time, and this is their second chance to be the right people at the right time. I'm always a little iffy with something like this Soulmates company. I've seen that crop up, like most recently in a very recent Christina Lauren book. They had a gimmick like that as well. And in this one, I think it was far more complicated than it appeared on the surface, because I was like, oh, they're gonna do this thing where like everyone in life has one soulmate, and I don't know how I feel about that. But this book said, all right, this is a company that is selling you this idea, but it may not be everything that you think it is. And I thought that was a really interesting way to take that, and that was really interesting and exciting. However, from the moment Simon shows back up in Taylor's life, you as the reader are aware that he is keeping something from her. He is holding back part of the reason why they broke up, and he is refusing to tell her. This is a dual POV novel, so you kind of get it in like drips and drabs in the beginning, but eventually you do get the whole story. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but again, eventually you, the reader, know exactly what Simon is keeping from Taylor, and he has no good argument as to why he is continuing to keep it from her for most of the book. Simon even has a best friend whose name is Aaron, who is, for the entire book, saying half of the reason that you guys broke up last time was lack of communication. You weren't able to be honest with each other. And so if you really want to take the second shot with her, you need to come clean and you need to be honest. Like, the thing that she's not going to understand is if you lie to her again, you need to tell her the whole truth. And you hear that from Aaron the entire book, and Simon still does not tell her. I understand that this is a very common trope in romance novels. This book is certainly not the only offender at this. But what I hate about books like this, when one character is clearly keeping something from the other person, and then we find out as the reader what that is, and we know that the other person still doesn't know, it starts to make me feel complicit in this lack of information being given to, in this case, Taylor. I want her to know. I agree with Aaron. Simon should just come clean. It's dumb, and he could have told her and it would have been fine. But then this book wouldn't conform to the plot of a romance novel, I guess. I just don't get why we couldn't have done something else. I don't get it, and I don't like feeling complicit for most of the novel in this information that is being kept from Taylor, so she's being kept in the dark. I understand that that is maybe like way too much investment and empathy in the story for me as a reader. Like, I should just be able to say, okay, it's a romance novel and it's gonna be kind of silly, but there are always these stories where someone keeps something from the other person and it's gonna be okay. You are not implicated in this at all. These characters are not real people, but I feel bad. I feel bad and it feels icky, and I genuinely spent most of this novel going, please, 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 please tell her soon, because I don't like feeling like this. I feel gross. And he doesn't. I would maybe be able to get past this too, like I said, if I felt that there was a reason for it, and Michaela and I talked about this at length in our review of Heart Haunt Havoc. I understand this withholding trope if there is a very serious reason for it. But again, with what Simon is holding back, feeling like something he could have very clearly told her, the fact that he doesn't tell her being very manipulative, and the fact that Aaron, his friend, not even her friend, his friend, is like, yeah, this is ridiculous. You really just need to tell her the entire book. I didn't feel like there was a reason for it. And it kept me like at a distance from the rest of the book the entire time. I just couldn't get into the rest of any of the other characters, any of the other plot, because I was just so frustrated by this. If this is not a thing that bothers you, this book is fine. I won't say that it blew me away. I did like the trope. I did like the setup with the soulmate's company. There are a lot of cute puppers and other animals in this book because, again, Taylor is a vet, and at one point she's like helping to train therapy dogs. So if you like romances with pet characters, that's also here for you. Otherwise, I would call this a really regular romance novel. Like, it didn't blow me away. I wouldn't say that it would be one of my first or even like my 10th recommend to somebody, but at the same time, it's not a poorly written book, right? It was a fine space of time that I spent on it, unless you cannot handle this withholding trope thing that I hate, in which case just skip this one because it will drive you bonkers the entire time. I just want romance novels to do something, and I understand we have to have conflict like the 75% mark of the way through, but I just feel like I've seen romance novels that do something more interesting. There are tons of other things you could do than these weird, like, I'm just not going to tell you this one sentence of information that would have made this entire book not need to happen. Like, if that is the only thing that the conflict in your story is resting on, that the tension in your story is resting on, I just don't think that it's very interesting. And especially, again, in the way that Simon keeps this information, it felt very manipulative. And I don't like being implicated in even a fake person's manipulation. I don't want to be a part of that. It's not my thing. Am I potentially reading far too much into this plot? Absolutely. But I genuinely don't have anything really else to say about it because, again, it was otherwise a very standard romance novel. If you were gonna get it from your local library, you could test it out yourself, come back, let me know what you think. I think it's pretty mediocre. It's not bad, it's not great, unless you don't like what I don't like, in which case you can skip it. Everyone is their own kind of reader. Maybe this is the kind of trope that you like. If so, more power to you. That's why all of these books exist, for all of us who are all very different readers. The best thing I can say is that I finished it and I made another review on time. So even though it came out last week, this is on time for my calendar, because some books, there are just months where they all get released on the same Tuesday, and there's only so much I can do. I'm trying, guys, keeping on, and I just really hope that in my next one I don't have another like withholding miscommunication thing, because I will probably then dive into that one even harder. Fingers crossed. Thanks, guys. Bye.